Okay, this unboxing is books that just arrived. Simon & Schuster sent them to me, but I believe these are all books from their imprint, NorthSouth. So there's 3 books. So let's take a look. The first one is Davy in the Snow. It is by Brigitte Weninger and illustrated by Eve Tharlet. And it's like a cute bunny family. Let's see, is there a description? There's snow. Davy and Mia, I think they're both bunnies, can't wait to go out. They want to go visit their grandparents, but then something happens unexpectedly on the way back. So it has a bit of a, you know, what is that? Like a Little Red Riding Hood vibe for me. She's wearing a little red hood too. But there was 2 of them. And I guess it's an adventure to get there. Or they get there fine. Looks like they get there fine. And then on the way back, I don't know. It's, I guess it's an adventure. Because maybe the snow keeps falling. Oh, I think they get a little bit lost. All right, well, it looks like a charming snow story with very sweet animals, anthropomorphic. The second one is Genius Noses, a Curious Animal Compendium. And that is by Lena Anauf and Vitali Konstantinov. I hope I got that right. And this looks like a book about animals with sort of like superpower noses. And maybe unexpected, because like an anteater, I would think it's more about the tongue. But I don't know. All right, so let's check out the back. So it feels like it's nonfiction. So which animal can smell underwater? Which one uses their nose as a snorkel? What can animals do with their noses besides smell? So perhaps this is narrative, nonfiction narrative. So sort of, or is it just straight nonfiction? I think it's just straight nonfiction. So here we have an aardvark. It tells us where they live. Has like very like kind of, I don't know, it has like, it's very soft illustrations. And what does it tell us about the nose? Something about the nose. I guess it can smell a termite nest? I don't know. The nose also works as a filter so that dirt doesn't get in. Here we have an animal I've never heard of. It looks like a swimming platypus called a desman. And that looks like the nose that's like a snorkel tube. Oh, a star-nosed mole. You know, we actually have one in our garden. I live outside of Boston, and I saw one. It was in my garden. And it had such a strange nose, like that, like a flower. At first I thought it was something was stuck to it. And then I realized, no, that's its actual nose. It has these tendrils. And it's very sensitive, and it can detect 13 bugs per second. A deek, small antelope. Their nostrils are like air conditioners. So anyway, all kinds of interesting animals, some I've never heard of, and where they live, how they live, and why their noses are remarkable. Yeah, I think this is great. I think it's fun for anyone. It's sort of like, it's nonfiction, but I think because it's illustrated, it just kind of eases you into like, oh, it's a story, you know, versus if there were photographs. And I think it's very well laid out. It's very attractive and easy to read. And also it's a nice book you can kind of flip around, you know, so if it's like a bedtime story, you know, you don't have to read the whole thing straight through. You can just pick a few, which is good for those nights where, you know, you're running behind and you really like need to get the kids to sleep. Okay, the last one is called Ludwig and the Rhinoceros by Golden Cosmos. That's the author's name. Such an interesting name. Illustrated by Noemi Schneider. It has kind of a European color palette, I would say, an illustration style. It's like it's very graphic, color forward, isn't it? Like very neon. Okay, so there's a rhinoceros in my room, claims Ludwig, who is, I think, a small boy. But there cannot be a rhinoceros because his room's too small. But it sounds like you could have a rhinoceros in your room even though no one can see it. So it's a philosophical bedtime story, translated from German by Marshall Yarbrough. So it has this kind of high energy illustration and color palette. And it's combined with this philosophical, you know, like maybe debate about, you know, what can exist and how things can exist. So it's sort of interesting. There's definitely kids who like to debate philosophically, and this would be a great book for them. And in the end, what is he going to do? He's going to be a philosopher. And that seems like he's been training for this with his bedtime. He also could just be a bedtime procrastinator. I'm not sure, but I think it's possible to be both. So anyway, thank you so much for these 3 beautiful books from NorthSouth. And thank you all for watching.